today, thank you for joining, everybody. I'd like to introduce to you John Frank Levey, the man who's done it all. He's been an actor, an activist. He majored in psychology with an emphasis in theater. He's been a theater director, a producer, a teacher, a husband, a divorcee, a long-term partner, father of two, podcaster, a four-time Emmy award-winning casting director, author of Right for the Role. Uh-oh, where's my book? Where is it? Right for the Role. You may have seen him in China Beach. You may have seen China Beach, Growing Pains, ER, The West Wing, Southland, Third Watch, Animal Kingdom, and Shameless, among the many, many shows that he's cast. He's a five-time winner of the Casting Society of America's Artiest Award and was honored with the Hoyt Bowers Award, which honored his lifetime achievements. So I present to you John Frank Levy.
Wow. Woo-hoo.
Wow.
That's a
Wow.
whole lot more impressive than I actually am. But thank you very much, Jolene. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome. Let's first I want to ask, I'd like to ask successful people, what does a normal day look like for you?
Well, back in the day when I was working a lot, it looked like get up and get my daughter off to school and go and grab a cup of tea and a bagel and head into the office and confer with my esteemed colleagues over the years and see what the day had in store for us and then just get at it, and then maybe a dinner with the family and a cocktail and uh, go to bed and get up and do it again.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So living life and enjoying it. Let's talk about your book, Right for the
Okay.
Role. Um, I don't know if you guys know, he has a book out. I was so impressed with the amount of detail that you remembered in the 70 plus years of your life. I was like, wow, I can't even remember what I was going into the kitchen for. Um, so it's very detailed and very impressive.
Well,
Uh,
thank you.
yeah.
I had a partner in the writing of it, and her name is Trudy Roth, and she really interviewed me in great depth.
Mhm.
And a lot of the book is verbatim what we talked about. And I don't think I would have remembered anywhere near as much as I did, without the prodding questions.
Yeah, you write about your entire life from the time you were six. We get to see you grow up. We even get to see some very let's see it. Let me find them. Some very cute and handsome pictures of you.
Oh, well, that's a long time ago, but yes, I once was a young man.
And I like that. I love to see that you were an actor. You were once an actor and you wanted to be an actor. Which is very I think as an actor, a lot of times you have casting directors and you're like, well, they don't really know the language. They don't understand how to speak to actors. Um, so
Yeah,
I really like that.
I agree completely. And really, for me, the revelation that I could become a casting director had to do with language, because when I was directing in the theater and had a fellowship at the Mark Taper Forum here in Los Angeles, I realized, well, first of all, I experienced the casting director for the first time in my life. I didn't really even know that one existed. And then as I worked with a casting director on readings of new plays, I discovered that the best asset they had was their ability to speak the language of the actor, the language of the writer, the language of the director, and to understand the language or orientation of the audience. And I thought to myself, I speak all those languages. Uh, Maybe casting is something I could do.
And you really share with us the insight into the process of casting in the book. You are very open. And you really share some really honest, raw, vulnerable, and opinionated things about yourself and others. I love the book. I love it. And also, I have a question. Did you have any hesitation when it came to sharing opinions about and thoughts about people that, may not have been the most positive? It was very interesting to see that, and I like it. I mean, it was great to be, in your world.
Well, thank you. There are a lot of opinions and experiences that I didn't talk about. I didn't want the book to be gossipy or seem like my opportunity to criticize or get back at other people. Um, Trudy always called it spilling the tea. I didn't know what that phrase meant at first, but so there's a lot that I didn't say, but and Trudy also kept saying to me as we were working on the book, you got to be more personal. It's got to be more personal. People have to get to know you, and you know,
And I
tell
feel like I really
without being rude or disrespectful. Tell the truth of your experiences.
Yeah, yeah, that was great. I mean, I really felt like I really got to know you
Well,
through that.
thank you.
In your introduction, you wrote, I was hiding and pretending. Actors have their experiences and their imagination out of which they create characters. If they are hiding and pretending, they can never do anything else. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think it's very, very important for artists and for actors particularly, but also for everybody to spend a portion of their life getting to know themselves and getting to make the effort to grow and change as people. And I have tried to dedicate myself to that because when I was trying to be an actor, I wasn't on a journey of that kind of self discovery. I was more interested in projecting an image or a personality or some kind of a clown show or getting attention in ways that were manipulative or and a bit false. And so I didn't really have anything to draw on as an artist and probably didn't have very much to draw on as a person at that point in my life. But I somehow somebody put the ether under my nose and I woke up and decided to try to be uh, my authentic self and therefore my best self. And as that journey began and advanced, I uh, I found that I had a great deal more to offer to the people in my life, in my relationships, in my work, in my creativity, in every element of my life. I felt suddenly reborn, not in a religious sense, but in a personal sense.
That's great because one of the biggest themes that your book touches on, and I'm always emphasizing this in my acting class that I teach, is to know thyself.
Yeah.
So you are sharing the journey of your life as you're searching for the role that you're right for. You are finding.
Exactly. Well, you get that because obviously the title of the book, Right for the Role, is a reference to casting and actors who feel they are right for roles or want to be right for roles. But really, the book is about me finding the role that I was right for, which gave me the opportunity to be um, successful and uh, to contribute to excellence.
Right. I love that. And it's just about living your life, learning from others, unafraid to try new things, which I'm always telling my students, go out and live. Live your life, try new things because you will learn about different parts of you, and that will make
Absolutely,
you a better actor. Um,
absolutely.
another thing
You
that
know, I
really,
mean, I think Jolene, I think I would love to eat your grandmother's recipes, and it would expand my palate.
yeah,
You should eat some of my grandmother's recipes. It would expand yours. And I
yeah,
think that's a metaphor for what you're talking about, which is, I'm going to the Dodger game this evening, and I'm a big baseball fan. And it behooves me as a big baseball fan to go to the opera once in a while.
and doing things that you're, I this past Christmas I went to Copenhagen, Vienna, Prague, Berlin, Sweden by myself. I've never been there. I was scared, but when I got back, I thought, wow, I really learned about who I am a lot more. I don't know, it's something I also the ether had the ether under my nose and was like, what? Where was I this whole time?
Yeah,
So
well, I think that's fantastic because it takes a certain bravery to, launch yourself out of your comfort zone and into a world where you have to be awake all the time, alert all the time,
mhm,
responsive all the time. And most of us are pretty lazy.
yes.
And we stay in a world we know well, so we don't have to challenge ourselves, uh, um, and we don't push ourselves to grow and change. And once you dedicate yourself to that, it is a very different life. You really see things that no that had previously just gone by your nose.
Yeah. Another thing that really left an impression on me was that you were molded by strong women throughout your life.
Yeah.
And why do you think that you were drawn to strong women, and what do you think that was about? Can you talk about that more?
Well, I wasn't so much drawn to them as I was thrust upon them or into their sphere. My mother was the first of the long list of strong women, and she was a wonderful, creative, smart, educated, sophisticated person, and she had high standards for her boys, and she made it. She was blunt and clear about what she expected of us, and and she was also incredibly loving to me. We were very close from the beginning, and so her complexities and difficulties uh, didn't uh, damage me. They encouraged me to be strong and independent myself. And then I guess I just found myself around powerful, strong, vivid women in my life, and they have, um, I mean, it's a generalization, and all generalizations are sort of false by definition. But I think women are very complex and fascinating and interesting, and I think they're also more uh, uh, straightforward about who they are. And I think men, to a certain extent, are more image oriented and trying to fulfill a certain kind of persona. And I found that I was stimulated by and encouraged to grow and change through my interactions with women, and that's both personally and professionally. My teachers, my mentors in casting, were all women. It is a female-dominated profession, um, and I gravitated towards those teachers and mentors.
Mm-hmm. You think it's a dominated women oh, the casting you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Another theme you talk about is community. You
Wow.
say when you are a part of a community, you grow together. This is the secret to both longevity and staying vital for much longer than you might as a lone wolf. Since the pandemic, community is something that has really broke down for a lot of people. But also in Los Angeles, community is something that's really hard to find for a lot of people who move out here. So two questions I have for you. What is it about community that nurtures longevity and staying vital?
Well, I mean, I think in community, when the community functions with mutual respect uh, and those kinds of things, that old phrase that we can be more than the sum of the parts, it becomes true. And
Mhm.
so it is community that gives us the support system to be brave and to be thorough and to care deeply and all of those things. When a group of people do that together, uh, it creates an opportunity for excellence, and that's definitely the goal of a group of people who are making a television show.
Great. And secondly, how do you continue to create community?
By believing in it, by craving it, by wanting, by touting its value.
But what I want to know, what specific things do you do to create, like, I don't know, what's the last thing that you've done to create more community in your life?
Wow, I love your thoroughness. You read the book and are stimulated by it to ask me questions people haven't asked me before. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Um, I think the last thing I have done and the thing I believe in the most is just this concept that I've been talking about, which is um, to encourage the people who I'm in community with to be their bravest and most honest, authentic selves, and to be willing to do that too. um, I tried to do that as a father. I tried to do that as a romantic and you know partner. I try to do that uh, in any professional endeavor I'm involved in. I just make it clear, I guess, that it's a core value and a core belief of mine. And I guess I talk about it. Maybe some people think too much, but the hell with them.
Well, I mean, and I'd like to add that, in in doing this book, you're creating things like this. You reached out to me. To be honest, I was a little afraid to do this. And then you reached out to me again, and I thought, I should do this. Let's do this, and let me get on this. And
What were
so,
you afraid of?
I was probably lazy and didn't want to say the wrong thing. And, and then I went on my trip and I thought, I'm now, now I just decided to be myself and be authentic. And as I read the book, as I got to know you better, I thought, wow, this is really great. And I really do want to talk about a lot of things and ask you a lot of questions
Well,
because
I'm grateful that you did. I appreciate it very, very much. I mean, it's such a pleasure to talk to someone who's well prepared. Often people interview me and they haven't even opened the book or listened to the podcast or really even know how to pronounce my last name.
yes, yes, had to make sure, had to get that right. But speaking of in your podcast, you did mention that you are semi-retired, but if there was something, you would jump onto it. But you're still, what I'm seeing is that you are still morphing. You're still adapting. You're still finding the next role that you're right for, which includes your book, your podcast. And it's very impressive that you're still going. You've got so much energy, and I admire that. Um, you know, be
Thank you. Creativity has been so important in my life as a source of energy and the opportunity for growth and change that I don't want to stop being creative. I'm actually shooting a very short film I wrote and I'm going to direct in 2 weeks. I'm working with a wonderful young playwright trying to put together a workshop of her award-winning play to try to raise funds for a production. I just cast some of the younger roles in a local production of The Seagull, the Chekhov play. Uh, I, I
Okay.
I have an independent feature that I cast that's opening the Miami Film Festival in 2 weeks. And um, as I said, creativity has been an important source of energy for me. And a dear friend of mine who's a singer-songwriter wrote a song recently. He's also in my age group. And I think the song is called I Ain't Dead Yet. And I ain't dead yet. I don't intend to be dead until I actually am dead.
mhm. That's amazing. Um, you did write that. Another thing I love that you wrote in your book is that you wrote there are two kinds of actors, really two kinds of people. One that gets to, and one that has to. One embraces the challenges of their work and relationships and their lives, um, their very lives. One that rues those challenges by complaining and rejecting, failing to see them as opportunities. Um, what I want to ask here is that in the climate of our industry, if you're not, well, even if you are with a top 10 agency, but I think a lot of people here may not be with a top 10 agency. An audition that was once maybe a series regular or a guest star is now reduced to a co-star. It's pretty hard. It's pretty easy to start to feel despair and to feel failure as an actor, especially if you don't book a one line or a two liner. From your own experience of with failure and rejection, or your inside knowledge of the industry, are there some suggestions that you could give us, or some advice, or how to stay resilient, et cetera, et cetera?
Wow. Um, well, I mean, I think you're right that the post-pandemic world and also um, the political climate that we're all living in today, um, and 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 many other factors are making life more difficult and making failure more likely, making success harder to achieve, and all of that. And but I think the opposite side of that is that you have the opportunity to create things in your life that stimulate you that may have nothing to do with money or fame or rides in limousines, um, or trips to Ibiza or whatever. Um, you can make a movie on your phone. You can get together with other people and read scripts every week. Uh, that way, you'll form community, and then you can be readers for each other when you do self-tape auditions. Um, there are still many, many, many ways to advance your profile, your technique, your opportunities, and the more you take advantage of those opportunities, uh, the 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 more likely successful outcomes will happen. But it's never been easy to succeed in show business. And I think a lot of people do get off the train at various times for various reasons, and some of them are valid. You think to yourself, well, I've given it a good old try, and uh, I I'd like to get married and have children now, maybe, or I'd like to travel now, and I'd like to go back to school now, or I'd like, some other thing that you'd like to focus on. That's okay too. Um, there, I think calling it failure um, is probably not a constructive thing to do. Thinking of it is okay, I did it. I gave it my best shot, and for whatever complicated reasons that are outside of my control, it didn't happen. Now I'm going to put all of those lessons into some other element of my life.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. Um, okay, I'm gonna ask you some questions here. Would you say that a pushy agent or manager is a detriment or an advantage for an actor?
I mean, both, yes. You know, it depends on, I mean, people can, I love passion. So, but I don't love disrespectful passion. So if someone calls me on the phone and says, Jolene Kim is an unbelievably fabulous actor and you don't know her, and what the hell do you have to lose? Give her a chance on this job. I promise you she's right for the role. And I might say, so all your clients are in jeopardy if she's not what you said she is, but I'm going to do what you ask. Are you willing to have all your clients be in jeopardy? And that usually tones down people a little bit. But, pushy has a bad connotation. Passionate, it has a good connotation. And so it's a matter of style and respect. And if you are passionate with respect, then you don't feel pushy.
Mm-hmm.
If you're pushy without respect, then I sort of learn to uh, hate you.
That's so great. Thank you. That's so good to hear. What is the best slate that you have seen?
The best what?
Slate.
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 Uh, I think, a, a calm, authentic presentation of yourself. It's true that in a self tape, your slate is the place you get the opportunity, perhaps the only place you get the opportunity to be yourself. And not trying to cut some kind of persona that isn't really you, and not being sort of having the attitude of, I hate you, I'm sick of this, and that kind of negativity, and just kind of being, hey, thank you for the invitation to do a self tape. I'm John Levey. I live here in Burbank, California, and I once was 5'9". I'm 5'8.5" now.
Great, great. Okay. Um, and I want to go back to your book and something you were talking about earlier. I love that you wrote, you don't become irrelevant because you've aged. You age when you allow yourself to become irrelevant. And as I'm getting older, it feels like that. And when you said that, I thought, wow, that's just really so great. I want to hold on to that.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, that goes back to my friend JD's. I ain't dead yet. I'm not. I'm not going to, in a respectful way, I'm not going to allow you to treat me like an old man.
mhm,
I have lived a lot of years and had a lot of experiences, but I think of that as valuable.
mhm.
And I want to share that value with you today, and with your audience today, and with everybody I interact with every day. I don't want to be uh, irrelevant, uh, and I don't want to be seen as irrelevant or as, oh, that old man.
Well,
Uh,
Yeah, because I think America and Hollywood emphasizes youth so much.
Yeah.
And as you get older, you know what I mean? We see that. And so it is something that you have to use your muscle to say, hey, I'm not going to become irrelevant and to not make yourself irrelevant.
I agree completely. And um, I know that in the political climate, we're no longer invested in diversity, inclusion, et cetera. But I am, and I want to be seen I want it to be seen that my experience, my age, all of the things I've been through and am going through are assets that you can capitalize on as a producer who hires me to do a job.
Hmm.
And rather than to think, oh, Jesus, what that, once I was interviewed by some young producers during the time I was doing ER, I was already not as young as the youngest people in my profession. And uh, it was a romantic comedy about people in their 20s. And these young writer producers who were a bit smug and thought highly of themselves said to me in the interview, well, you're in your 40s or 50s. What do you know about young love? And I said, oh, I'm recently divorced. It's all I ever think about, as a joke. And then they offered me the job, and I turned it down because I didn't want to work with them. I didn't feel that it would be fun. I didn't feel they had respect for me, and I don't want to work with people who think of me as an old man, an
Hmm.
irrelevant
Hmm.
codger. I want to work with people who go, wow, this guy's done a lot of cool shit, um, and he's got a lot to offer. Still, he can hear, he can see, he can think, he can feel. Uh, he's still capable.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I have a couple more questions about your book. Is there one thing, I mean, if anything, that you're most proud about this book?
Well, that it emphasizes my core belief in collaboration and community and respect, and that it also, frankly, I had no real understanding of the impact my career had on
Mm-hmm.
people. I was just doing my job, and enjoying it and being excited by it and stimulated by it. And now, in the 2 or so years since the book has come out, I have discovered that my beliefs and values and work contributed to people's growth and change and development,
Yeah.
and also, contributed greatly to the culture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
ER contributed to the culture.
Yeah. I I
Uh,
I like I want to go back to what you were talking about diversity because and the culture and that one story that you mentioned you were in the hospital and I want to say because you have an awareness you
I
still
know
are
where
you
you're
are not
going.
I know you are aware of the surroundings and you are not like living in a bubble so tell us this story.
Sure. Well, I had a little minor, I guess minor surgery is something that happens to someone else, but I had something called a macular pucker. Sounds naughty, but it isn't. It's just a film in your eye, and mine got puckered. It got wrinkled, and so it was impacting my vision in one of my eyes. So I went into a local hospital that had a surgeon that specialized in this, and uh, they the nurses um, were speaking three languages, uh, and I recognized that those three languages were English and Spanish and Tagalog, which is the language of the Philippines. And as I was going under, um, I think it was as I was going under, I think I said out loud, I fucked up ER. Everyone should have been Filipino.
So great. That's so great. I recently found out that I'm a quarter Filipino, a
Ah,
few years ago. And it was in our DNA. Turns out my grandmother had an affair with a Filipino man, and my dad was the result of that, but he didn't know that until they were both passed.
wow. Well,
So
be careful when you do those genetic tests, what you might find out.
I know. It wasn't just like, 2%, it was 25%.
I
So,
was tuned into Filipino culture because my mother, late in her life, wanted to rekindle her ability as a piano player. And she used to go to a little bar restaurant around the corner from her apartment in Manhattan. And there was a Filipino man who played jazz piano in that bar. And she approached him and asked him if he would give her lessons. And they became incredibly close friends. And and as a result, she was surrounded by Filipino people in Raul's community, and so I became aware of them. And then when she moved out here, I moved her out here for the last couple of years of her life. I was able to get Filipino women to be her caretaker, and that made her feel so comfortable and at home, which was a great gift to both of us.
that's great. That's great. Um, is there anything in your book that you wish you wrote after it was published or debated about and decided not to put it in your book? Maybe there's nothing, but I was just curious.
Well, we made that decision pretty early on that there are some hard feelings over a long career, and
Mm,
there are some disappointments over a long career, and there are some people I interacted with who I think misbehaved towards me or towards somebody else,
mm,
and we decided up front, Trudy and I decided up front that we weren't going to go in that direction, that
mhm,
we wanted the message to be about community and about collaboration and about respect. And we didn't want it to be a bitch fest.
mm,
Uh, and I have kept those experiences close to me in the way I guess that people mean when they say keep your enemies close to you. I tried to learn and grow from the disappointments and the disrespect that has been part of my life, as well as the uh, wonderful validations and accomplishments that I've been so proud of.
mhm, mhm. Okay. Thank you. Um, okay. What shows are you watching or liking right now?
Well, I love The Bear, uh, partly because of the subject matter and partly because of the crazy energy of it, and but also because I'm following Jeremy
Mm,
Allen White, who played Lip on Shameless. I also have been enjoying watching Found on NBC because of my love and admiration and respect for Shanola Hampton, who was one of my guests on my first season of my podcast. And I've been just absorbed beyond belief by The Pit because it is starring my dear friend Noah Wiley, written by a man I worked with for many years, R. Scott Gemmell, and produced by John Wells, who was my producing friend and partner for many of the decades of my career. And I'm just, and because it's ER on steroids, because it's on streaming, they're showing so much more in detail. They did a episode recently where they did childbirth, and the prop guys created a female anatomy and a fetus that was being given birth to, that was manipulated by two puppeteers. I mean, the
wow.
magic of show business still blows my mind. And watching John and Scott and Noah be so creative and so free and so exciting. I have to cover my face a few times in every episode,
Mm,
but I love it. And then, of course, guilty pleasures. I'm a gigantic fan of Top Chef, and I'm so excited that it's Canada season has aired 3 episodes, and I'm already rooting for some of the chefs and against some of the chefs, and also loving Kristen Kish, who did the miraculous thing of replacing Padma Lakshmi, who I have had a gigantic crush on from the first second I saw her face.
right, right. That's that's great. Um, okay, so I have a couple of people who want to ask questions, and then I'll have you talk at the end. But I do want to say, you guys, this book has so many insights, and there's so many things to be learned from John's experiences and to understand the industry even more. That, we may not ever be able to be in that area, that you've been in over your lifetime. It's just amazing to read about.
Well, thank you. And I mean, just for the shameless plug of it all, the book is available on Amazon in an e-format, a paperback, and a hardcover. Also, I have a website, which is Right for the Role book, I think. Uh, and I would be happy to mail you an autographed copy there. And there are a couple of copies usually at the Barnes and Noble store in Studio City on Ventura Boulevard in the old Lorena movie theater. Uh, and so that's another place you can get a signed copy. Um, and I hope you'll listen to the podcast. You know, it's not a talk show where we're interviewing um, people about what their next project is. We're really talking about how'd you get where you got? What was your journey like? What stopped you? What did you have to overcome? What propelled you? What were where'd you get the nerve to have a creative life? I've had wonderful conversations with Eric LaSalle and Noah Wiley from ER and Sasha Alexander from Rizzoli and Isles and Shanola Hampton, and a dear friend who's a wonderful character actor named Tim Bagley, and a director uh, uh, named and who's also an actor named Dennis Dugan. Those were my 6 guests, and the conversations were wonderful and fun, and offered opportunities to discover why they were right for the role.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so go get that book. It's just really great. Um, let's have Taylin has a question. You can unmute yourself and I will add a spotlight for you.
Hi, John. How are you? My name is Taylin.
Hi, Kaylin. It's great to see you. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having me. My question is about the casting process. Um, I've heard it many times about, not having enough strong enough credits. And maybe that's why you may not be selected, or even trying to find representation. I've been told, my credits aren't strong enough. I guess my question would be, how does one build trust with casting in order to be selected um, to begin? Um,
Well, first of all, Taylor, let me just say something I've said a number of times over the years. Everybody is born naked and without a SAG card and without representation. There isn't a single person you admire and respect who didn't start at the beginning. It's
right,
the only place you can start.
right,
So any shame about that should be deposited in the wastebasket. Um, and then you're at the beginning, or you're a little bit past the beginning, or you're in the middle, or you're moving towards the top, or wherever you are.
right,
um, have respect for the work, be a collaborative member of the community, and keep at it with your authentic and open heart. And one thing will lead to another. And, yes, it's better to have one thing lead to another that is advancing your career because that's your dream. But if one thing leads to another that leads you to doing something else or moving somewhere where there's a wonderful regional theater that you can be part of, or uh, you know, teaching at a small university. Who knows what's in store for us?
Yes.
And all you have can do is be in control of putting your left foot in front of your right foot, and
Yeah.
then your right foot in front of your left foot, and doing it with an open heart and as
Yeah.
much enthusiasm as you can muster, and then you'll see where you land. There's no predicting it. I can tell you for sure that what I got to do and what I accomplished and the success that I have enjoyed,
Hmm.
I didn't have any effing clue that it was gonna happen
Yeah.
until it did.
Yeah.
Keep
Um,
at it.
thank you. Thank
Thank
you very much. I'm seeing that in life that, absolutely, you just end up where you're supposed to be no matter what.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if I believe that the supposed to be part, but you end up where you end up,
Yeah.
and then you gotta make it great. That's on you.
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks, John.
My
Uh,
pleasure. Thank you.
I have Gael. Gael, any question? Oh, I will.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, here. I
I'm
will ask your.
emotional.
I will ask. Oh, you're. I will ask your question for you, and then you can talk. What makes a self-tape interesting? What advice would you give to send out in an audition?
Well, there's no magic. Do the work. Do the work that the script requires, and be your authentic self, and hope your authentic self is interesting. And how do you get your authentic self to be more interesting? It has to do with all the things we talked about today. You know, eating somebody else's grandmother's food, going to an event that doesn't speak to you because you might learn something new, uh, not just associating with people who are like you or like-minded with you. That, getting out in the world, you know, if you've never talked to a homeless person, go feed some. Remind yourself that they're people. If you've never been to a black church at midnight mass, go one year. If you've never done something, do it. That's my advice. Expand, grow, change. See how the other half lives.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to thank you first, because it's very refreshing to hear, to be yourself and to meet a casting director who is open to talk about this. I really appreciate. So I'm a foreigner. I moved here 5 years ago. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know where to go. I just wanted to change. I don't know, do something that I haven't done. And
Where, where did you come from?
I came from Belgium. Uh,
Belgium. I thought I was hearing a bit of German, but I'm off by a few miles.
no, I speak French. So if I was speaking like this or like that, it would be way more French. But I don't
Uh-huh.
speak like this or like that. So
Well, I'm going to Paris for my birthday at the end of April. I've never been, and I'm looking so forward to being April in Paris.
That would be awesome. The light over there is just amazing. Is I wish you a great time. People are great there. They're very honest, maybe sometimes a little too honest. But that's where I came
Well,
from. Yeah.
I didn't do very well in high school French, so if they won't be able to be honest with me unless they speak English.
Yeah, that's true. That's totally true. Well, I don't even know if they're going to try to speak English though.
No,
But
they probably won't.
yeah, but Paris is amazing. You'll have a great time.
Thank you.
And I just want to really thank you because what you're saying it really resonates with me because I guess when I came here the first time around, that is not the that is not what I heard from the people that I met. Or like, oh, you have to be a certain way, you have to know how to market yourself, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so not like Jesus, like this is not like in Europe. So yeah,
Well,
is
they're
it's
probably right that you have to learn how to do certain things. That, but you can't do anything unless it's coming from your heart.
from your heart. Yeah, yeah. All
Thank you.
right, thank you very much, though.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
And we have time for one more question. Is there anyone else who has a question? Oh yes, Sean, there you go. I will pin you.
Hi, John. Thank you so much for doing this. I wanted to know if there's a show you wish you created or are in the process of creating, and what elements of that show would you bring that we haven't seen on TV yet?
Well, I don't think I have that originality, but I read a lot, and I love to read sort of dark, uh, noir-ish stories about urban life. I love Walter Mosley's novels, and I love Michael Connelly's novels. Uh, I just love urban noir. And if I were to create a show, which I'm not going to, it would probably be about a jazz musician who also was a private detective. Uh, played in trios, in piano bars, but also investigated wrongs and crimes and dastardly deeds, and occasionally hooked up with a beautiful woman.
Thank you. I'm on it.
I
Okay.
think I think your camera just fell down and you pointed it at the drain. Was that a reflection on my idea?
Oh no, that no.
I think that was someone else. Okay,
No.
and let's see. Let's see what time is it? Okay. Anyway, one more question. How about one more question? Anyone else? Anyone else? No?
Yeah, I do have one though.
Okay.
But it's very personal and specific to me. Um, so I heard as long as I've been here, I heard that my accent is a problem, which I can understand because then I can't be right for everything. But I don't think I will be right for anything or for everything. And I have been struggling with this with my reps as well, who are trying to tell me to or to get rid of it. But A, it's expensive, and I've tried, and I don't speak French ever, because my husband doesn't speak French, and I don't hang out with European people. Um, and so I'm just wondering, is there because I feel like I would have to erase a part of myself or something that makes me different, which I'm not opposed to. It's just very hard and very expensive. And I'm wondering is there space for actors with an accent, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, your uniqueness is what you have to offer. And in your particular case, that involves where you grew up and how your voice sounds. Uh, it would be good if you could also speak with a neutral American accent. Don't tell your husband this, but if you can pick up an American man in your American accent, then you're ready to play an American on television. But until then, it'll be your allure of your accent that helps you in that endeavor. And and that's easy pickings. American men fall for accents just like American women do it as well. So, but you know, uh, 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 your authentic, unique self is what you have to offer, and don't apologize for it. Don't see it as a negative. It's what you have. It's who you are, and anybody could have been born anywhere and be here and be a doctor or a lawyer or an Indian chief or whatever, and still have a little bit of a lilt of their homeland, and that's a dimensional thing as far as I'm concerned. That makes that's another uh, you know spice in the sauce.
Thank
Great.
you. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much. Thank you, John. Do you have any last words to impart? Or I don't
No,
know.
not really more than what we've already talked about. It just again to express to you, Jolene, how wonderfully prepared you were, and how grateful I am that we had such a interesting conversation that challenged me to talk about things I care about and believe in, and just to encourage everybody who is sweet enough to be here listening to you and to me. Um, and to encourage you to grow and change and to be respectful and be part of a community and be a collaborator and give more than you expect to get. And if you can do all of those things, I predict that good things will be the result. And if I've been able to contribute to that at all, that is very meaningful to me at this point in my life. And, find me on Instagram, John_Frank_Levey. And if you read the book or listen to the podcast, I'd love to hear from you and hear what landed for you and what you thought was a bunch of nonsense. And uh, please communicate with me. I love hearing from you, and I hope that I've been a positive influence today, and that the book and the podcast will continue to do that. And thank you so very much for inviting me to join.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time, and it was just amazing to get to know you. So go get that book, you guys. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Jolene.
Thank you. All right. Take care. Bye.